another Rams House live stream. And today is just going to be a chill stream talking about what we witnessed yesterday, anything Rams. If you have any questions, any comments, you can feel free to leave them in the comment section, in like, the live comment section. I'd love to interact with you guys. I'm sure all of you guys are still riding high off of that Rams versus 49ers win. Definitely been a long time coming, it feels like, since we've been able to beat these 49ers, but that game was so fun to watch. Just loved being able to celebrate all day today, knowing that we were able to take care of business and head to the Super Bowl. And I'm honestly pumped up. I'm actually glad that the Super Bowl's in 2 weeks. One, because some of the players that we have on the injury list, they'll have some more time to get a little bit more healthy. And the guys that are healthy, who have little bumps and bruises, they can get a bit more healthy. Also, knowing that the Rams are going to be playing Super Bowl at their own place, they won't have to do any of the traveling, anything like that. They get to just stay put to their natural surroundings that they've been in the entire football season. And to be honest, I'm just happy to be able to talk about football for another 2 weeks, knowing that it's just us and the Bengals. Like, it's just such a sweet feeling knowing that we've made it this far. With that Stafford trade happening a year ago from yesterday, it just feels like this season has been an incredibly historic one. So I'm glad that we have that 2 week break between time to be able to discuss Rams, celebrate the win that we got, and have the 49ers, taste that little bitterness of the loss that they had just a little bit longer. And yeah, I'm just excited to be back in the Super Bowl. I know that we made it to the Super Bowl back in 2018 and we played those Patriots. We all know it didn't end well. For me personally, that was my first Super Bowl to watch, so it wasn't a fun one to watch, but I'm hoping this one just goes a little bit better. And I'm glad just to be talking a lot of Rams with all of you guys. Glad to be celebrating the victory Monday. And you have to admit, the way that we were able to beat the 49ers in that fashion, even though a ton of them came at SoFi Stadium, that was exactly the way that you would want it. That's exactly the way that a lot of Rams fans wanted. I know Peloton really wanted to face the 49ers in the playoffs. It's just what we wanted to do. But before I get into more of these topics, again, it's a really chill stream, so if you guys have questions or want to ask me anything or just talk Rams, definitely comment down below. But for the people, we have Swift's Cheeseburger says, "Yo, what's up, man?" Jared Ramirez says, "How is your day going for you?" Welcome to the stream, Jared. My day is going really well. Definitely a lot better with that Rams win. That's pretty much all I've been thinking about today, knowing that we have a good break before the Super Bowl and just celebrating that huge win we were able to get. I'm having a good day. How about you? Peo Time says, "Happy Victory Monday." You too as well, Peo Time. Thank you for stopping into the stream. Let's see, just popping up to say horns up. Welcome in, Mark. Thank you for coming in. So yeah, guys, I honestly, when I'm looking at this matchup between the Bengals, obviously I'm going to be having my official preview video throughout the week or next week. I'm going to have that official one edited, everything out for you guys. I'm also going to be doing a video with my brother who's a Bengals fan to be previewing that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But just looking at this matchup between the Bengals and the Rams officially and, just kind of covering some of the things I see right off the bat, I think that this matchup looks really good for the Rams. I think it's the best matchup we could have had. The Chiefs and the Rams would have been fun, especially with the last game that we had versus them on Monday night. The Chiefs, I feel like that would have been a really high-powered offensive performance, and that could be the same thing with the Bengals. But the things that I'm looking at that's really entertaining for me, first, the Bengals haven't been to a Super Bowl in 30 years, it feels like. So it's cool to have them in the Super Bowl, but as far as matchups go, I think the Rams match up really well versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I think a lot of people are looking at our pass rush versus this Bengals offensive line, and the Bengals offensive line obviously not being the best, having Burrow get sacked 9 times versus that Titans defense. I know that's where a lot of the attention is going, and right off the bat, a lot of Rams fans, a lot of NFL fans looking at that pass rush versus the offensive line. And yeah, you got to take into account for that. We have a really fierce pass rush, really exciting one to watch, honestly. And playoff Vaughn, playoff Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, all these guys, they're going to be in that mode and they're going to be able to get that pass rush going there. But for me, I think when you have 2 weeks to prepare for this team, I think Zach Taylor and the whole Bengals coaching staff has to be thinking about that pass rush and thinking, in my head, I think they're going to be wanting to do some quick passes, some of those screens, get things going for Joe Burrow early where he can get the defense kind of tired out. A little similar to what the 49ers do, but definitely not identical because Bengals are not exactly the type of team that the 49ers are. But I think if you're the Bengals, you have to be looking at the offensive line versus our pass rush, because that's definitely a very scary thing heading into this game for them. So I think our pass rush is going to have a day, honestly. I think Aaron Donald, because he felt so bad about that Super Bowl loss, I think he just really wants a ring at this point, and I think he's going to bring his A game like he always does. He's going to be just a hard guy to stop. Von Miller, obviously, Leonard Floyd, great gains. I think they're going to bring their A game, and I think that we're going to have a really good time rushing Joe Burrow. But I don't think it's just going to be completely dominant, completely just taking over, making sure the Bengals get no points in the Super Bowl. I think they're going to have their schemes. They're going to have their little wrinkles that they have. Obviously, Zach Taylor being on the same coaching staff as Sean McVay, working for the Rams just a little bit ago. They know each other pretty well. And so I think there's going to be some game planning and some chess matches that are going to be going on. And I don't think that's just they're going to have Joe Burrow drop back and shotgun just to pass it all the time. So right off the bat, the first thing I want to talk about is that pass rush. But before we move on, I want to go to the comments a little bit more, shout some more people out. We have AMS, welcome to the stream. He says, do you think Henderson and Sebastian Joseph Day will play in the Super Bowl? That's a good question. I think if Henderson does play, I do think he's going to be active for this game. I think that we still see more of Cam Akers and Sony Michel. Honestly, in my opinion, they're the better backs, and they've kind of proven that a little bit. Not to say Henderson's bad. I still think he has a role in this offense. But I don't think Henderson's going to get a lot of reps if he plays, and I'm expecting him to play. Sebastian Joseph Day, I really hope he plays. Obviously, Greg Gaines has been playing outstanding football. We love him, but Sebastian Joseph Day coming off, he was so good against the run, and he's just a vital part. He brings a lot of that energy. You'd love to see it. It's really hard to tell, because I was expecting Sebastian Joseph Day to come back a couple of weeks ago, and he just never ended up coming back. The injury he has is kind of hard to gauge at times. I'm going to say he's going to play, especially with the 2 weeks we have between now and the Super Bowl. But, we'll see by the time that gets there. LA Rams podcast says, horns up, Rams House. Thank you for coming to the stream. Rams, that's right. Pale Time has a question. He says, would you rather go fishing with Matthew Stafford or bowling with Aaron Donald? That's a great question, Pale Time. You always have these great questions that are hard to answer. I would say I'd probably go with bowling with Aaron Donald. It doesn't mean I would beat him because he's just ultra competitive, but I think that would be honestly really hilarious. And for me, I'm not really that big of a fishing guy. I've probably only done it like once in my life, so that's what I would pick. If the Rams pull off this win, Matthew Stafford becomes MVP. Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on what type of game he has, but I think he's definitely MVP of the Rams just in general, and you could probably put Cooper. There's a lot of guys who actually could be MVPs for the Rams, but I think Stafford in his first year, we brought in Matthew Stafford to try to win us the Super Bowl. We thought Matthew Stafford was the one missing piece. We just needed a quarterback to elevate the play around us, all the players around. We have everything else intact right now. This is our time. Let's go get Matthew Stafford. So we do that, and a lot of general managers, a lot of front offices don't make that type of move. And so for Stafford, I think he's obviously a key acquisition because now we're all in the Super Bowl in his first year. But it really depends on the way that every player plays. I think Cooper Kupp could be an MVP, honestly. It's going to be interesting to see, though, man. Pale Time says, did you hear Marshall Faulk on Rich Eisen today? He finally come around to Stafford. Yeah, I did hear that. I love Rich Eisen's show. I love how it feels like Rich Eisen really isn't biased, and he also kind of seems like he really likes the Rams. So yeah, I did catch that Pale Time. RB Hopper says 80 is going to be trouble for Cincy. He is on a mission. He really wants a ring. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, again, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, I really think that the Bengals, and this is what any coach should do and any coaching staff, I think the Bengals are going to do what they can to kind of neutralize our pass rush if they can. Because obviously we know they can't really block any pass rush. We've kind of seen that throughout the whole year. So I think that with this 2 weeks to prepare, they're going to really study the Rams defense, and they're really going to come up with these counters, these quick passes, anything they can do to stop it. As far as their rushing game, Mixon, I think he has his moments. I don't think he's, like a superstar X-Factor running back. I don't think we have to be extremely worried about him. Also knowing that Raheem Morris's run defense has really turned around since that second 49ers game, or the first 49ers game that we played. And so I think that Aaron Donald is definitely going to be on a mission, like you said. I think he's going to be a huge factor, huge problems for the Bengals. I mean, he always is for any team. But I feel like Aaron Donald in the playoffs, Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl especially, is just a different guy. Like, he's already just a top-tier type of player, but he goes even further up 1 year in the Super Bowl, 1 year in the playoffs. You can tell he wants that Super Bowl ring. And there's no reports about this, nothing like that. But I don't know why. I have this feeling that when the Rams win the Super Bowl, if we win it, obviously, versus the Bengals, that Aaron Donald will retire. I really don't want it to happen, but I don't know why. I just have that gut feeling like it might happen. I'm hoping it really doesn't happen, but man, I don't know if you guys have that same vibe. Obviously, he hasn't said anything about that. Nobody's made reports or anything. It's just something. It's a feeling I have. I don't know why. The AFL Yang says, I honestly feel like we might blow out the Bengals. You know, it's hard to tell. I think with the Bengals, they're always in the game. Even when they're down by like 20 points or whatever, it feels like the Bengals are always in the game. And Burrow is always going to give you a chance. Again, with me watching their entire season with my brother being a Bengals fan, they always have that type of swagger. They always have that type of, physicality. They're going to be the type of team they're just never out of it. And you can't let them back into the game because they can come back like that. And so it's crazy. I don't know if we blow out the Bengals. It's honestly going to be a really interesting matchup because, we don't really play the Bengals that much in general, and they're a team that a lot of people didn't expect to go this far and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. A lot of people didn't even expect them to win a playoff game, so they're an interesting matchup. Who knows if we blow them out or not, but man, I think, again, out of the matchups that we've had from the divisional round and the championship round, the teams coming out of the AFC, I think this is the best one we could have gotten and the one where I feel the most confident. We aren't playing a guy like Bill Belichick, who we know he can completely foil schemes and completely mess up a team. And with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, obviously we beat them before, but they would have been tough. So I think the Bengals are the best matchup we could have gotten, but that's not to say that they're an easy opponent or we should take it lightly at all. Tyler Higbee update. I think it was something like an MCL sprain. I would have to look more into it. I don't think we know if he's gonna play in the Super Bowl yet, but I mean, man, not to say that he's better than Tyler Higbee, but Kendall Blanton played an amazing game. I know I was talking about this yesterday, but he had some big plays, big catches, and he wouldn't disappoint. He wasn't dropping it. He didn't fumble at all, and he made a lot of these plays that when you look back, you're like, oh yeah, he really did make a big impact. And you really saw some of those types of plays that he was having. You're like, man, like he's homegrown. Who knew that like this guy was such a good player? Again, I'm not saying he's better than Higbee or anything, but I'm glad that we at least saw that in the playoffs, that he's been good. Saw him versus Tampa Bay. We saw him earlier in the year versus the Cardinals when Higbee was out. So I'm not sure about Higbee playing or not. I know that he avoided a really severe injury, but as far as his game status, we obviously don't know. We're still 2 weeks out, but we'll see what happens there. We did it, brother. Go Rams. That's right, Rod. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited to be back in the Super Bowl. Love my Rams Super Bowl bound. I do have to say, D. Will's performance as of late is concerning. I have to agree with you, man. Like, I don't know if it was the scheme that Brandon Staley had with Darius Williams that was really helping accentuate some of the things that Williams does well, because I think Williams excels a lot of the times when he's playing in that man coverage type of thing or when he's playing receiver one-on-one. I'm not sure about the zone, but it's really weird to me. It feels like Darius Williams is a completely different player. And if I were to watch highlights from last year compared to highlights from this year, or lowlights, even if you could say that, I would think that they were completely different players, and it's really interesting. He's a guy that, no disrespect to him, but if we let him go in the offseason, it wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't be too shocked or too sad about it because, you know, Williams, I feel like, is playing a little bit. He just looks like a different player. I don't know what it is. I agree with you, and it does kind of worry me a little bit, especially with the Bengals having so many good wide receivers like Tyler Boyd, and you have obviously T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I mean, they got some guys on that offense who can really have good route running, and they can get their yards after catch. And yeah, you're right. Darius Williams wasn't looking very good. Obviously, he let that deep one to Ayuk up yesterday, so we'll see what ends up happening with Darius Williams. He definitely does look like a different player, but definitely not rooting against him, and I hope he proves us all wrong and, really shows up in the Super Bowl. Sean McVay says, do you know the Bengals have allowed the most sacks allowed in the postseason history? I did not know that. I knew that they had let up a lot of sacks. I knew that they let up just a lot of sacks in general in the regular season, but I didn't know that. Again, I know a lot of people are looking towards that. It's going to be interesting, though, to see how Zach Taylor and how that Bengals coaching staff adjusts and really plans against this pass rush, because I think for me, if I were the Bengals, I would be trying to run the ball and I would be trying to get those quick passes to neutralize the pass rush. That's honestly what I would be trying to do. Try to get it in your playmakers' hands and make them, run after the catch on the screens or on quick passes, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting, though. I did not know that. RV Hopper says Goff drops off the cap next year. I believe we can re-sign OBJ and Von Miller if they want to stay in LA. Oh yeah, man. There's a lot of contracts that are coming off the books next, or I guess in the off season, and a lot of people really aren't talking about that. I was just talking about that with Payo Time and Ram Showcase. There's a lot of the salary is going to be coming off the books, a lot of the dead cap and everything like that, and that's going to be huge for re-signing guys like that. And I know that Von Miller and OBJ want to stay here in LA. I know Von definitely does. OBJ, it really seems like he's liking the culture here, really liking this team. And so if we can find a way to keep both of those guys, I know that's the Rams' initial plan that they had when they brought them in. If we can find a way to bring both of those guys back, that's going to be huge, and I'll definitely be really happy if that happens. Let's see. Do you think... let's see. Scroll down a little bit too fast. I want to read this comment. Okay. Do you think Cam should have most of and all of the carries, or have carries split between him and Sony? For me, right now, especially, like, I know I was saying versus the 49ers, I would want to see more of Sony Michel, not because of the fumbles that Cam Akers was having against the Buccaneers, but because of just the type of physical unit that the 49ers are. But against the Bengals, I think I'm really liking Akers a little bit more. I think Sony Michel will be mixed in there. Here and there, he'll be peppered in a little bit there. But for me, I think Cam Akers is the right running back you would want to have versus the Bengals, and I think we could have success. And the Chiefs were even running the football really well versus the Bengals, I felt like, and they're finding ways through the holes, getting good chunks of yardage. So for me, I'm looking more towards Akers this game. I know, again, I was saying more of Michelle because of the type of the team that the 49ers are. But playing against the Bengals, I think I'm really liking Cam Akers a little bit more. Let's see. Payo Time says, "What is more annoying Rams media narrative, or what is a more annoying Rams media narrative? Stafford can't win the big game, or Akers is a fumble machine. Both untrue." Great question. There's definitely a lot of narratives out there that kind of bother me. For me, I would say probably Stafford can't win a big game because he's proven that throughout the entire season, even before the postseason, beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, beating the Arizona Cardinals, and he's won these he's won the big games in the big moments. He's had big primetime games, and obviously now he's 3-0 in the playoffs with the LA Rams. I think it's just there's no context to that narrative, and I feel bad for Stafford especially. I know he may not even care about that type of narrative, but he's kind of carried that from Detroit all the way into the Rams, even when he's proven he's gotten to win that. For me, I think the Akers fumble machine thing, that's more of recency bias, and that's more of people seeing that. Like, I haven't seen that for the last year or two since we've had Cam Akers. I think that's just kind of a newer one. But for me, it's really the Stafford can't win in a playoff game or in a big game or big moments, because he's proven that throughout the entire season. And you got to give the guy credit. It feels like the media is really against him. But great question, Payo Time. Sebastian Joseph Day and Rap should be back. Also, what's the injury report on Akers? Yeah, so Sebastian Joseph Day, I really hope we get him back. He's obviously been out for us for a long time. I think he could make a really big difference coming back, complimenting Gaines, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, everything like that. Rap should be back. I hope he's back, for me, honestly, just because, like, the concussion he's having, usually concussions don't last this long, so it's kind of worrying me for him as a player and as a person. I hope we can get him back. I don't know if I have an update on Cam Akers. Today has been a really busy day. I haven't been able to check out any of the press conferences or any of the updates. But obviously Cam Akers came back in the game after that shoulder injury, so hopefully he's doing fine. I think he should be fine, definitely, for the Super Bowl. Payo Time says, question, who on the Rams do you think would lead the team in tackles in the Super Bowl? It's a great question. It's funny how we had Eric Weddle leading the team in tackles in the championship game coming off the couch. Like, what a crazy story for him. I would probably say it's a really good question. I'd probably go with Ernest Jones. I think, obviously, he was kind of like on a pitch count when he's coming back off of that injury yesterday, but so we didn't really see a lot of him. He was getting his feet wet back into this after his injury, but he was playing some really good football before he got injured. He was reading plays really well, he was covering well, and he was making really good tackles. So for me, I would probably go with Ernest Jones, and Nick Scott's been playing well, obviously, but I think I'd lock in Ernest Jones. Swift Cheeseburger says, I feel like Darius gets targeted a lot, and he's kind of becoming a liability, and he's going to have to guard T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. Yeah, that's what kind of worries me a little bit. Hopefully he brings his A game. I feel like versus the Green Bay Packers in the regular season, he actually played a really good game, and they obviously don't have easy receivers to guard or anything like that. But he's definitely looked like a different player, and I hope he can play well because the Bengals definitely have lots of weapons to guard. I think Higgins is a really underrated part of that offense who can catch everything, get the 50-50 balls. I can definitely see Joe Burrow targeting Darius Williams on T. Higgins. Definitely. He loves those 50-50 balls. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, Higgins comes down with that in general. So, it's kind of worrying me if that ends up being the case if Williams is on him. I just hope he plays a good game. Would the Rams like Jimmy as a backup? That's a good question. I don't think we really invest in Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think we really like John Wolford. And Bryce Perkins, obviously. I think Bryce Perkins and John Wolford both bring a dimension of the offense that the Rams just don't have for like the starting quarterback, where we have you can move around in the pocket, you can make some design plays, design runs for him. So I think we like John Wolford and Bryce Perkins. I think they're both really good backup quarterbacks, good solid ones for us. And McVay likes his mobile quarterbacks, as the backup. So I don't think we'll go get Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm pretty sure if we win the Super Bowl, Beckham or Miller comes back, if not both. I think even if we don't win the Super Bowl, obviously that's a huge incentive. If we do win it, they're going to want to come back. But I think they already want to come back. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to bring it back both, but I know that was the Rams' initial plan. Let's see. What position should we target most in the upcoming draft? I say inside linebackers. Great question. I really haven't thought about the offseason much or the draft or even really know the prospects that well, to be honest with you. I think you're not really wrong with the linebackers, but I do like Ernest Jones and Trayvon Howard as like our future linebacker combo that we have. It's a really good question. I'm not 100% sure yet, man. That's a great question. I might target cornerback again just for a little bit more depth, just in case we don't bring back Darius Williams. It's a good question, though, man. I'm definitely more suited to answer that question in the offseason. Really haven't thought about the draft much. Really haven't thought about the offseason much. So, good question, but I'll get back to you on that. Buddy Guy says, I really want to win the Super Bowl. Me too, man. Payo Time has another question. What do you think, or what do you think of the emotional moment between Kupp and Woods after the game? I thought that was really cool to see. Obviously, if you've been watching my channel for a while or just know me well enough, you know that Robert Woods is like my favorite player on the LA Rams. I love Robert Woods, and I think you saw when Robert Woods went down with his injury, how sad Cooper Kupp was. I think they just have a really good brotherhood, a really good connection since coming into the league. I think Kupp has really grown from him, and I think they have a really good friendship. And honestly, I think Kupp is happy to see him, but I think they're just a little bit disappointed they can't do it together because obviously in the Super Bowl run we had last time, we were missing Kupp, and then this time we're missing Woods. So I think it's just kind of, it's surreal. It's impacting them knowing that they're going to play and not going to have Woods. So excited. We had a great comeback. Me too. This is our house, Rams house. That's right, Johnny G. Let's see. But Buddy Guy says, I also remember before the season you had your brother come on. He was a Bengals fan, probably going to be a war zone on Sunday. Yeah, you got a good memory, man. I'm definitely going to be doing a preview with my brother Johnny about this Bengals-Rams game. He's definitely really excited to see the Bengals in it. I think it's going to be really fun, definitely. The Bengals O-line will cost him. That's going to be interesting, man. I'm excited to see what our pass rush can do versus them. I think it's going to be a really good matchup for us, but you have to expect the chess match and what Zach Taylor is going to be doing to help account for that. Lions fans are repping Rams for Stafford. Yep, I'm happy to see that. You can really tell how good of a Stafford player or how good Stafford is as a player and as a person. I see tons of Lions fans following to LA and becoming Rams fans, and I think that's just really awesome. Not only for the Rams fan base, but also just for Stafford and his family to see like that support coming from Detroit. It really shows how much of a type of guy he is. He obviously gave a lot to Detroit, and he obviously put everything out there every single Sunday, no matter what their record was. So that's awesome to see. What I find strange about Jimmy G is he's such a polarizing figure. Had his receiver made the catch, 49ers fans would love him, but it didn't work out, so he gets tossed under our Rams bus. Yeah, definitely an interesting player. Glad we have Stafford, not Garoppolo, to be honest with you. But he's definitely, I feel like there's a lot of 49ers fans split on him, and depending on his performance, he's kind of like Jared Goff. When Goff would have great games, we'd always be like, I would always see a bunch of Rams fans being like, oh, Goff is amazing. Give it up for Goff. We love him. And he would have like a stretch of bad games or just a bad game in general, and everybody just wanted to like kill him or something. So it's like, it's crazy, I feel like sometimes fans are a little bit aggressive or quick to change, but definitely for Garoppolo, he's kind of inconsistent. Payo time with another question. He says, if you had to fight a T-Rex and you could pick 3 Rams players to help you fight, who would you pick? That's a great question. That's definitely fan quesos questions you would have for Sheriff Joe Bags. I would say Aaron Donald. That's an obvious one to fight. Ashawn Robinson. I feel like that guy's just big in general. He's strong. He just looks like somebody I don't want to see on the street to fight in general. And Cooper Kupp for his smarts. I mean, I feel like he would have the strategy to how to do it smartly or something like that. That's a great question, though. That bus has been rolling on for a long time. Jimmy G is a good QB. I just threw up with Montana and Young. Do you get it now? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, for me, Garoppolo, I think it's time for them to move on and time for them to go with Trey Lance. That's obviously going to be an interesting offseason note and offseason storyline, but yeah, for me, I feel like just Garoppolo is more reliable and dependent on the scheme than he is a good player. That's just my opinion, though. Payo time with another question. Do you think that Sean McVay needs to learn how to use timeouts more traditionally? I understand his strategy uses them well with the lead because of the bad challenges we lost to. That's a good question, man. I think last game definitely wasn't Sean McVay's best game, even though we ended up winning it. I think there's a lot of areas where he kind of went wrong. It's obviously easy for fans to say, easy for us to say just watching at home. But for me, I think we definitely have to do a better job. I think it was a lot worse when we had Jared Goff before Stafford came. I feel like we just had a lot of those times where, the communication was off and we couldn't get a snap off, had to use timeouts early. I feel like that's gotten a lot better since we brought in Stafford, but I think that we could definitely use those timeouts better. You push with the P. San Francisco stands for season finish, that's for sure. What do you think about the Bengals? I hear Bengals O-line is not good. The Bengals, I think they're a really fun team to have in the playoffs, and they're a really fun team to have in the Super Bowl because everybody kind of counted them out, including myself. I thought they would definitely get like a win or two, but being that they made it to the Super Bowl, I think they're a really cool underdog story. They're a really cool team like that. I think as far as our matchup, like I've been saying all stream, I think this is the best matchup we could have gotten to play in the Super Bowl. With Zach Taylor being a coach who used to be on our coaching staff, I feel like we just have a little bit more experience in that case. I think the Bengals are a really young roster, which is going to be good for their future, but who knows, maybe this moment will be too big for them, who knows. I think that as far as their defensive line, on their offensive line, this is a really good matchup everybody's looking at because they just kind of get beat up left and right with whoever's rushing the passer. And so I think that matchup's really good. And, it's going to be an interesting one, man. I really don't know what to think of this game yet, but I think it's the best one we could have gotten. Jay in the Bay, welcome to the stream. I appreciate you coming through. Great 49ers YouTuber, guys. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I love to watch this guy's videos. Very humble. And this guy's definitely not a toxic type of guy. Definitely check out his channel. Thank you so much. It's definitely a great victory Monday. Thank you so much for stopping in. Philip Ortiz says, what a way to end the year. Rams beat the most hated rival Niners, and they win to go to the Super Bowl. No one can't say anything. Well, go Rams. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the way the Rams wanted to beat the 49ers. Exactly the way. Who cares about the last 6 matchups that we lost versus them? This was definitely the biggest one. Had the biggest magnitude on a lot of legacies as well. Definitely a really fun one. My bad. Says, the Bengals are going to do you like that. Tiger guy, or got the guy in the zoo in Florida. Yeah, I'm definitely really worried about Joe Burrow because my biggest thing is, again, everybody's talking about that pass rush, but we saw that even with Joe Burrow getting sacked 9 different times in a game, which is insane, they still ended up winning the game. To me, Joe Burrow is a guy who just never gets rattled. It doesn't matter. I haven't seen a situation where he's been rattled, and he's just a crazy guy. He's really mentally tough, and he just never goes away. He's going to keep chipping away at you no matter what the score is. So for me, it's not about getting the sacks. Obviously, those are really helpful because it makes it harder for them, to get those first downs, harder for them to drive down the field. For me, it's more about getting the turnovers. And that's a hard thing to do versus Joe Burrow, especially in the playoffs. So I think for the Rams, the emphasis is about getting the pressure to force the turnovers because we know that Joe Burrow has gotten sacked left and right the entire season. Sean McVay in the comments was saying that Joe Burrow has gotten sacked the most in the playoffs in the history of the playoffs, and so we know he takes hits. So I think he's kind of used to that at this point, and he kind of welcomes it and he likes to play against it. So I think for us, it's really about getting the turnovers and getting those interceptions, which is going to be the hard thing, but I think we can do it. And another thing is like I think the matchup's going to be really fun to watch is Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey on T. Higgins. I think that's going to be really fun. But I think what will be really interesting about it is from me watching the Bengals the entire season, I have seen Burrow, he trusts his receivers. He takes those 50-50 shots. He trusts them in those adverse situations where some quarterbacks may not, and he'll throw it up because he trusts his guy. And I think Joe Burrow's not going to be scared of Ramsey, and he's going to be trying to target him on a few of them. I don't think he's just going to be, pulling Russell Wilson where he doesn't even look towards Jalen Ramsey's way. And I think that could be actually really beneficial for the Rams. I think Ramsey could end up getting an interception. Obviously, he was close last time to getting 2 interceptions. But, I think that him being brave and trusting his guys, I think he'll target Ramsey a few times, and I think Ramsey has a shot at getting an interception. Let's see. See you folks on the 13th. That's right, man. Bengals beat Titans and KC, but Titans can't score like the Rams, and KC don't have the defense like the Rams. Yeah, that's very true. I think both those teams that they beat, there were definitely chances for both those teams to win the game, and they had opportunities to seal it or put it away or win the game, and they couldn't end up getting it done. And so that's where I'm hoping the Rams come in strong and win. I think it's going to be a close game, is what Jeff says, and that's going to be crazy. Yeah, it's definitely going to be crazy. Anthony says, let's go, Ramley. Yeah, exactly, guys. I'm still reeling over yesterday. Still so excited. So glad we have another 2 weeks, to prepare for these Cincinnati Bengals. We have 2 weeks to talk about it, have all the attention on us, all the attention on our players that have put in the work. It's been such a fun season. I mean, you could tell from the moment OTAs were starting and training camp and everything, the excitement around the Rams fan base and the excitement around just everybody in the building, you could tell it was going to be a special season. And you could tell that it was just going to be one for the ages, one for the books. And so I think that everybody just kind of had a sense about this team that we could go places. Everybody knew it was a special team. And you're kind of seeing that coming through. And it's been such an amazing season. And what a storybook finishes that is happening right now in the playoffs. Our road to the Super Bowl has been really fun to watch as well. Century66 says, do you think that the Bengals will try to use Mixon in a Debo sort of way? Short screen passes trying to get the big yardage. Good question. I don't think that they'll use him in a Debo type of way. I think Debo is kind of his own type of player. And from what the Bengals use Mixon as, they kind of like using him to run between the tackles. They like using him to get those powerful runs. Every now and then he'll get a good chunk run. For me, I think they're going to use Jamar Chase in that kind of Debo way. If you were to say, I don't think they'll put him at running back in any way, but I do think we'll see some jet sweeps from Jamar Chase. I think we'll see some quick screens to him because he's a guy, if you get it in his hands on a slant or on a screen or on a dump-off pass, he can and he has taken it to the house. And so I think that's going to be their emphasis, getting it into their playmakers' hands, getting it into Jamar Chase's hands. It's going to be difficult as if they put Ramsey on him. You know how well Ramsey locks up the opposing player. So I think that's going to be something to watch out for. I think it's more going to be Jamar Chase and T. Higgins that they're going to be trying to get the ball into, and it'll be quick passes. But great question. Jeff says, do you think Tyler Higbee is going to play? I think he'll play, but I think he'll play injured, and I think he's not going to be 100% Tyler Higbee, which is where I see us using Blanton a little bit in there. And he played really well, like I said, versus the San Francisco 49ers. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. Do you think OBJ and Von Miller will be back for the Rams next year? That's a really good question. It's definitely the million-dollar question. The Rams said themselves that when they brought in Von Miller and OBJ, that their plan was to re-sign them in the offseason, re-sign them both. And when Rams fans heard this, we were kind of shocked because, when they brought him in, I think a lot of Rams fans, including myself, thought I was just, okay, this is to help get us to the playoffs, get us to the Super Bowl, all that. But the Rams, they shared their plans saying that they want to bring them both back. And so it's going to be interesting. I think at the very least we get one of them back, being Von Miller or OBJ. And I feel like the organization is going to lean toward OBJ more. I don't know. That's just kind of the feeling I have. Sean McVay has always liked him. I'd love to have them both back though, but yeah, I think we at least get one of them back, and that's definitely their intention. Hello, Rams House. Am I right with predict the Rams versus Cincinnati Bengals? You were right, man. I had hope that the Bengals would make it to the Super Bowl so that my brother and I could watch the Super Bowl, have a lot of fun that way. I wasn't sure, the legitimacy of that would be, but seeing them both in the Super Bowl, it's a really likable Super Bowl, and I don't know, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. There's gonna be a lot of storylines for sure, and this is definitely a really fun Super Bowl because there are two teams that just I feel like they don't get a ton of attention all the time, and they're two teams that I feel like aren't always in the Super Bowl. I don't think they've ever played versus each other in the Super Bowl, so it's gonna be really fun. Rams House, love our family, Ramily, that is for sure, man. Definitely got a lot of great supporters on this. I feel like our fan base has really grown since since this season, since Stafford's come in. I feel like a lot of their social media. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more Rams fans now. Definitely fun to see the Ramily growing. Really fun just to see this team having a lot of success, and really fun to have a team and a front office that will make the moves, the aggressive moves, the bold moves, to pay off. And they make those moves knowing that there's a high risk but also a high reward, and that's not what a lot of teams do. So really glad to be a supporter of this team, especially being a supporter through the times when they're in St. Louis, barely getting 4 wins. It's definitely really easy to lose sight of that time because we're used to winning, but very grateful to be cheering for a team who's aggressive, who knows what they want, and who has a huge shot at winning the Super Bowl. We're one step away, guys. We are right there. We're in the Super Bowl. Now we just got to play 4 quarters and win a game, man. Let's see. Who's your favorite player on the Rams? Great question, Jeff. This is one of the most tough questions I get because I feel like I just love all our players on the team. I feel like all of them I love for different reasons. All the stars I love for different reasons. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. I think Cooper Kupp is just so underrated. Even before this season, you could just tell what a special player he was. But I don't know. I really like a guy in Robert Woods. I think coming to this season, that was my favorite player. I've liked him the last couple of years. I know he's injured, but I've always liked Robert Woods. The professionalism, very underrated type of guy. A lot of the Rams call him the heartbeat of their team, and that's definitely a guy who I really admire, or a guy who I really like. But honestly, the more and more I get that question, the more and more time goes on, I feel like I really don't have a favorite because I like them all for different reasons. You and your bro should have a pizza challenge. When your team scores, the other bro has to eat the slice of pizza. There's definitely going to be a ton of things we're going to be doing. I'll be really excited to have him on, previewing the game with me, having him back on the channel. I know a lot of you liked him. He's just, it's going to be a really fun Super Bowl. Definitely something coming into the season. I didn't think it would be Rams-Bengals. I thought maybe Rams-Chiefs, maybe Rams-Bills. That's kind of what I was thinking, but definitely a really good surprise to see the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Happy for their team, happy for my brother. This is going to be a lot of fun here in the house. But yeah, guys, I'm just excited for the Super Bowl. Glad to be talking Rams with a lot of you guys. If you have any video suggestions, definitely drop them down in the comments below. Anything you want to see from me in the next couple weeks before the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'll be having previews and everything like that, but I'd love to hear from you guys. I appreciate everyone who's just stopped and talked Rams with me, celebrate about that 49ers win. And, man, it's been a fun ride this season. Let's hope we can end it on a Super Bowl. Before I sign off, we got one more comment from Jeff. It says, dude, imagine having Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, OBJ, and Van Jefferson as our receivers next year. That would be amazing. I'd love to see that. I think, honestly, we'd just be even more unstoppable at the wide receiver position. As much as Cooper Kupp is unstoppable right now, that'd be insane. I can't even imagine that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping into the stream, talking Rams with me, celebrating this Rams Victory Monday. And hopefully we can taste the Victory Monday of a Super Bowl throughout the entire rest of the off season. You guys have an amazing day. You guys all rock. Have an amazing day. Horns up and God bless, guys.